You're ready. You're waiting. You texted them 20 minutes ago, and they just replied, "On my way," which you both know means they haven't left yet. If you've ever been that person, the one who's always 5, 10, 20 minutes behind, I want you to stay with me. Because being late isn't about being rude. It's not about not caring. There's actually something going on in your brain that most people never talk about. Everyone has that one friend. Or maybe you are that friend, the one who shows up late to everything. Dinners, work meetings, flights, funerals, and every time, there's a reason. Traffic. Lost track of time? Couldn't find keys. One more thing to do, and people around you get annoyed. They start lying to you about when things start. They stop inviting you to stuff, and you feel bad about it. You really do. But then it happens again anyway, so what's actually going on? Why do some people just can't seem to be on time, no matter how hard they try? That's what we're getting into today. And I think by the end of this, it's going to change how you see yourself or someone you know. Here's something that gets overlooked. Most chronically late people don't want to be late. That's the part nobody talks about. If you ask someone who's always late, most of them will tell you they hate it. They feel guilty. They've tried setting alarms 20 minutes early, leaving reminders, even lying to themselves about when things start, and still late. So if it's not about not caring, what is it? Because the common explanation is just they're selfish or they don't respect your time. And sometimes, yeah, that might be true. But for a lot of people, it runs a lot deeper than that. Think about this. You're getting ready to go somewhere. You have enough time. And then your brain goes, okay, but let me just finish this one thing. And then another thing. And before you know it, you're rushing out the door, heart pounding, knowing you're already late and completely unable to figure out how it happened again. That's not someone being disrespectful. That's someone who has a very specific relationship with time. And it's worth understanding. Psychologists actually have a term for this. It's called time blindness. And it shows up a lot in people with ADHD. But here's the thing. You don't have to have ADHD to experience it. Time blindness basically means your brain struggles to feel time passing. Most people have an internal clock that naturally tracks how long things take. If you tell them we leave in 30 minutes, they have a pretty good sense of what 30 minutes feels like. They start wrapping things up. They start getting ready. But for some people, time doesn't feel that way. Everything feels like either now or not now. 30 minutes feels exactly the same as 5 minutes until something forces them to notice it's gone. Dr. Russell Barkley, one of the top researchers on ADHD, describes it like this. People with time blindness don't experience time as a continuous flow. They exist in a kind of present-focused state where the future doesn't feel real until it becomes the present. And when the future doesn't feel real, preparing for it feels almost impossible. But there's more to it than just time. Blindness, there's also something called optimism bias, and this one is huge for chronically late people. It's the tendency to underestimate how long things will take. You think the shower will take 5 minutes. It takes 15. You think you'll find parking right away. You spend 10 minutes circling the block. You think traffic will be fine. It's not, and this isn't stupidity. It's actually a cognitive pattern where your brain consistently imagines the best-case version of events instead of a realistic one. You plan for perfect conditions that almost never exist. Here's where it gets interesting. Research shows that this optimism bias is often connected to how someone handles stress. Some people, when they feel overwhelmed or anxious about something, subconsciously delay engaging with it, not because they're lazy, but because starting something, especially something that involves other people and expectations, triggers a low-level anxiety response. Being late can actually function as a way to delay the moment of arrival, which sounds strange, right? Why would someone be anxious about arriving somewhere? Well, think about it. When you walk into a room late, all eyes are on you, but only for a second. When you're on time or early, you have to sit there and wait. You have to make small talk. You have to navigate the awkward pre-event space where there's nothing to do, and everyone's just kind of there for some people. That waiting period is way more uncomfortable than the brief awkwardness of showing up late. So the brain, without them even realizing it, keeps finding things to do until the last possible second. It's not a conscious choice, it's a coping pattern. There's also something called transition difficulty. Some people genuinely struggle to stop what they're doing and switch to a new task. This is especially true for people who get into flow states easily. When you're really focused on something, your brain releases dopamine and it feels good. Pulling yourself out of that, even to go somewhere you want to go, feels almost physically uncomfortable. So you say 5 more minutes and you mean it, but your brain is still locked into what it was doing. And 5 minutes becomes 15, becomes 30. Now pile all of this on top of each other. Time blindness, optimism bias, transition difficulty, a slight anxiety around social situations, and you get someone who is genuinely trying, but consistently late and beating themselves up about it every single time. Here's the moment where it all connects. Being chronically late usually isn't about disrespect. It's about a brain that processes time, transitions, and social pressure differently. And the reason it keeps happening even when the person wants to change is because they're trying to solve a brain-based problem with calendar reminders and good intentions. That doesn't work, not long term, because the root of the problem isn't forgetting, it's perception. And here's the thing, once you actually understand why it happens, you can start doing things that actually address the real cause, instead of just setting more alarms that you'll hit snooze on. So what actually helps? First, make time visible. If your brain doesn't feel time passing, give it something to see. A visual timer on your desk or phone, not just an alarm at the end, but something that shows you the time moving. There are apps like Time Timer that show a visual countdown. When you can see time shrinking, your brain responds to it differently than an abstract number on a clock. Second, build in buffer time and treat it as part of the plan. The mistake most late people make is planning for perfect conditions. Instead, build in what psychologists call a realistic buffer. If you think something takes 10 minutes, plan for 20. And here's the key part. Don't think of that extra 10 minutes as wasted time. Think of it as part of the trip. When you reframe it that way, your brain stops fighting it. Third, create launch triggers. A launch trigger is something specific that signals to your brain that it's time to transition. Not, I'll leave when I'm ready, but when the timer hits 2:45. I put my shoes on and I walk out the door no matter what. The specificity is what matters. Vague intentions don't work for people with transition difficulty. Concrete, automatic triggers do. Fourth, stop punishing yourself after the fact. This one sounds soft, but it's actually important. Chronic guilt and shame around being late makes the anxiety around events worse, which, as we covered, actually makes you more likely to delay. Beating yourself up keeps the cycle going. What breaks it is understanding the pattern and addressing it at the level where it actually lives, in how your brain experiences time and transitions. None of these are magic fixes, but they're things you can actually start doing today. And they target the real reasons this keeps happening, not just the surface level symptoms. If this one hit close to home, watch the next video. It goes even deeper into why some people sabotage themselves without meaning to.